Now, I'm not very well known for doing back pieces. I've done a few over the time I've been tattooing, quite a few actually, but it's never been like a speciality of mine. I don't do them a lot, but I have picked up a lot of pointers along the way from talking to people and doing them myself. So I'm gonna lay out some of them pointers today that I think might help you, especially if you've not done a back piece before. There are probably more things to consider before you start your first one. But even for people who have tattooed them and just get stressed and don't think about certain things, maybe this stuff will help. First of all, you've got to remember that it's a commitment for you and your customer. Understand that it will take a long time to finish, and pre-planning is essential. Get a good sketch together, a decent idea, lots of reference, and have it ready for that first day to save you the stress. You know, if you've got a good stencil laid out and it's all there and ready to go, you just got to print that stuff and stick it on. But it is a commitment. And that leads me to another point, is because it will take a long time, you don't want to leave massive gaps between appointments. It's one pet peeve of mine. I've got some back pieces, and before I say this, and if any customers of mine are watching, or customers of anyone, I understand money's a thing, but it's on you to explain to them that you're probably better off waiting till you've got the money, or at least a big chunk of the money together, before you start a back piece. Because, man, styles change over time. If you're starting a back piece and then they leave like a 4 or 5 year gap, the space-time continuum will warp and fucking world will rip apart, and your style will not be the same anymore. And you'll be sitting there thinking, fuck, how did I tattoo like this 4 years ago? And you'll be trying to remember the techniques you used or the styles you used. You might use smaller liners now. You know, not only that, but over time tattoos will change ever so slightly. Even if they're done right, they will change a little bit. And the newer part will take time to catch up to how the older part looks. So there's a lot of things to explain beforehand about how big gaps in sessions can really like throw a tattoo off. So it is definitely worth trying to politely convince them to either wait till they got a lump of money together, or be aware that booking at least monthly or bi-monthly, every 2 months, have a good session. Even if it's smaller sessions, you know, you don't have to do a day every time. I only recommend a day on the first session to get them lines done. But small session, once a month, perfect. That means you can keep fresh every time you come in. You don't forget where you're at. I know this because a few of the back pieces I'm working on, they do come in regularly and they are looking within the same style. I don't feel like I've changed as an artist much during these tattoos, but then a few of them have been bigger gaps, and now I'm racking my brains thinking, so how am I going to continue this? You know, maybe my style was a bit simpler back in the day, or maybe more technical. Now I have to go back to that mindset to tattoo that back piece, if that will make sense. Also, make them aware it will cost a lot. I know I just spoke about this just a minute ago, but it's you have to make them aware. You have to make them aware that it will cost money. And because of that, I personally don't give, not because of that, but I personally don't give ballpark figures on the total cost, because you don't want to get to like your 4th session and realize, shit, I've got another 4 sessions to go, but you've only quoted for 4 full day sessions. There's so many different factors that can make the tattoo take longer. They might not sit that well. One session might take it a bit longer. Maybe it took a long time to get the stencil on, and that's still you working. That's still time to charge, I feel. Yeah, just make them aware that it will cost a lot. You can't say exactly how much. You could probably give a ballpark figure after you've got a good design together, but until then, just say, this is my hourly, this is my day rate. It's gonna take a long time. Are you prepared for this? When it comes to actually tattooing, it's like holidaying in 4 different climates, man, at the same time. You've got your, let's start from the bottom, you've got your pre-stretched tailbone. Man, that bitch, when you get that line going down, all of a sudden you go over the tailbone and then you just boom, and you've got the tailbone there, you've got to remember where to go. Then you've got your hard to stretch under rib kidney areas, yeah? Then you've got the back breaking dip in the spine that no matter where you sit them, if you have them sitting up, if you have them laying down, it's hard to reach and look at it straight on. Or even if they're sit forward, it's all good at the top, but when you go down to the bottom, you've either got to sit on the floor or break your own damn back to try and get them lines in. And then there's gravity of the needle and the ink running down. You can't tattoo up like that. You've got to have your machine down, and then you're carving them, and that's bad. And then you get to the worst part. My least favourite part on the back piece to tattoo, and that's the oiliest shit top of the back. No matter who I've tattooed, everyone's top of the back is will give out more plasma, more oils than anywhere else in the damn body. It's probably my least favourite place to tattoo, but it's essential area for the top of the back, man. The crowning piece at the top of the back, the detail that sits at the top is a must. Don't think just because it's flat that the stencil will go on flat either. You know, there's many different curves of the back, the barrel curve of the top of the shoulders, the dip in the spine, the under ribs, the love handles, you know, the bump in the tailbone. They're all things to think about when you're putting a stencil together. So personally, I don't put like a face right in the middle unless it's big enough that the warp in the back won't affect it too much. And you've got to consider things like, if your customer's anything like me and they've got some sexy ass love handles, they might have a little crease between the back and the lower back, a little bit of back fat. And you've got to consider that crease into your design. Some people's backs are flat. I think the best thing to do is make sure they get a good picture or get them into the studio so you can have a look at their back in person. And then you get a chance, if you have them in the studio, you then get a chance to actually stencil the back so you know the exact size as well. But if that isn't something you can do, then a good picture flat on, get someone else to take, get them to get someone else to take it, get a flat picture and work off that. That will help a lot. Don't just go in with a back template thinking it's gonna fit them, because I guarantee you it will not. I suggest when you start tattooing as well to try and, if your style is line work heavy, even if it's not, line it all in one session. Get that down. Don't think, oh yeah man, I can smash this out, you know, chunk and then line a stencil up again. Just get the grey lines in, blood line it, whatever. Just enough that you can see even the faintest of lines on the next session. It will save you a headache of having to line that stencil up again. Just get the lines in straight away, and that way you are not having to arse about on the next session trying to line up a stencil. And also, if the lines are done in one session, you have the chance then to chip away at that back piece, like as and when. Like you can do a big first session, and let's say they struggle through it and they get it done and they're fucking heroes. And the second session, you could just do like 2-3 hours of time, chip away, man. If they're aware that it's going to cost a lot, but they can do it every 2 weeks, just do 2-3 hours, slot that in the evening somewhere. It doesn't have to be a massive deal. Obviously, people who are doing more ornamental work, well, there you go. You're going to have to stencil that up again. But from my sort of style and maybe more realism stuff, you have the option to do a quick line out, a rough line that you can always line over as you go and neaten up and make your fresh lines each session. But that first session, get the base work done of the lines, get it in there so you don't have to follow too much next time. Man, I remember I've stenciled the shape of a face before and then went to line the stencil up within that shape and I just couldn't get it looking right. And then in the end I had to freehand it, and it did look fine in the end, but fuck me, the stress of trying to line that up was impossible. So yeah, there's a couple of bits that might help you think about tattooing back before you go to tattoo the back. Yeah, and I hope they help. Just consider this stuff before you book in a back piece. Lay it all out. Don't be afraid to ask for things from your customers to make it a bit easier for you to get it right. And then, man, because once you finish a back piece and it looks how you want it to look, the mental reward is beautiful, man. Really good. And it's definitely worth the effort at the beginning. It is a slog trying to get it together at first, but once it's done, once that first session's out the way, you can chill the fuck out, because every time that customer comes in for another session, it is easy sailing, man. Just a nice bit of shading. I've got this back piece in at the moment, and which is probably in the video I'm showing over here because it's the one I've been filming the most recently. And you know, there's so much hood to this, so much black creases in the hood that a lot of the sessions are just big areas of shadow and black, and it's really nice. It's just a nice, easy session. So yeah, get the stressful first session out of the way and the planning beforehand, and then after that, it's just nice, easy sessions every time. But anywho and anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that helped. And let me know if it helped. And I've probably missed a shit ton of stuff that could help. In fact, I know I have. There's definitely things that I could also mention and I haven't mentioned. Put them down in the comments. Maybe I'll make an updated version one day, or a part 2 of tattooing back pieces. But for now, that's it. Thank you. You want to support? Get over to my Patreon and give me a little follow. I'd appreciate the shit out of it. Other than that, you can get on my store and buy some stuff, or just please subscribe and like the video. Have a lovely day. All the love. I'm gonna go eat some peanuts. Goodbye.